Hey guys, welcome to the very first video. I'm Jacob. I am currently a second-year graduate student at Baylor University's Online Communication Sciences and Disorders program. This video is really just an introduction. I'm going to be talking about who I am, kind of what the plan is for this channel, and why I want to do this. So stay tuned. So like I said, I am an online graduate student at Baylor University's Communication Sciences and Disorders program. That means I have my classes online, I do my homework online, and we have live meetings every week before it was cool. #Zoom. Anyway, how did I get into this field? Why did I choose to study communication sciences and disorders? Starting way back when in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had plans to study medicine, I had plans to study writing. I was into all sorts of different subjects and topics. During my junior and senior year though, I was super involved with choir, the all-school musical. I actually starred in the musical all 4 years of high school, but going through that, I decided, you know what, I'd like to do this for my degree, study music. You'd think maybe I was more geared towards the music theater stuff, but I was actually a lot more interested in music composition, classical music. So I went to first Eastern New Mexico University, where I started my Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance. It wasn't the best fit for me, so I decided to transfer schools. I went to a small community college in between semesters, and I ended up going to Texas Tech University, Rackham Tech, and that's where I graduated in 2019 with my Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance. How is that related to communication sciences? Well, I definitely realized during my senior year that while I still had a love and a passion for music, it wasn't what I wanted to do as a career. I loved doing what I did, but I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. It was becoming a job, of course, more than something I enjoyed, and I really hated that studying it and planning a career in music really took all of my enjoyment out of the art. So, why did I choose communication sciences and disorders as that jump? I loved being a musician, like I said, but I definitely wanted to pursue something else. I decided to start doing some research, and I really took the time to decide, because this was going to be 4 years of college, not wasted, but definitely not as applicable in my mind at the time to a different career path. After doing a lot of research and after deciding on communication sciences and disorders, I made some specific connections between the two fields that proved to myself that I can use this degree in music to find a different career so that I can still enjoy music as an art rather than a career. The speech path, it incorporates my strengths as a vocal performer and my desire to help others. A large part of vocal performance as an undergraduate student is learning how to teach voice lessons and learning a lot of other different skills that go into vocal performance specifically. And I found that speech pathology really translates those skills into a clinical setting, and I can hone a lot more of my musical abilities into something that isn't music, which I really enjoy. So how did vocal performance really guide me into speech pathology and communication sciences and disorders? Well, as a vocalist during your freshman, sophomore, and sometimes junior year, depending on your program, you take classes called singer's diction or lyric diction. What this is learning how to pronounce words correctly. I know that sounds trivial, but when you're singing, your vowels really matter, your pronunciation of consonants really matters. And so we had to learn a written code called the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA. IPA directly takes the sounds replicated by the human mouth and makes one symbol per sound. So it is completely phonetic. A lot of languages are pretty phonetic, but IPA was designed and created and is updated to be entirely phonetic. That way, as a singer, I could apply it to not only English, but Italian, French, and German. So I can see a paragraph and say it as a vocalist correctly, even though I don't know what I'm saying for the most part.
Je découpe plow.
As a speech language pathologist, I'm going to say SLP a lot. You use the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, a lot, especially with articulation patients, as well as other populations that speech sounds are the focus of therapy. I also took a class called Vocal Pedagogy, where you're learning how to teach vocal performance. But in that class, we focused a lot on vocal anatomy, knowing when to listen for certain pathologies, as well as, hey, you sound like you're tensing here, try loosening up this, your tongue's a little bit forward or a little bit backward, you know. But vocal anatomy and the entire respiratory tract up until the face, all of this is included in speech pathology. You focus on respiration, you focus on phonation, which is making sounds with your vocal cords. You focus on resonation, which is the way those sounds vibrate in your mouth and nose, the way that a vocalist does. But you're focused more on the pathologies rather than the tension or the spacing or anything that a vocalist might focus on. There are definitely some differences between the fields, but I have found ways for myself to connect them so that I can still find specific enjoyment rather than just say, oh, this is a new skill. Music is definitely a form of art, and speech language pathology is a clinical, scientific, research-driven field. As a vocal performer, you teach vocal lessons a lot, private lessons that include helping your student become a better performer, as well as focusing on, of course, the lesson plan, research that goes into why this certain posture is great for singing versus this certain tongue placement is great for this type of singer. You still use research and science to back your credibility as a vocal teacher. And as an SLP in the clinical setting, oftentimes you'll have to be on the fly, improvisational, as well as when you're designing your own therapy activities, you might be able to release that artistic side, whether that be drawing your own activities, cutting things out, coloring, coming up with creative ideas to make therapy more fun for the younger populations, as well as less frustrating for adults who have gone through some kind of trauma that may have impacted their speech capabilities. Overall, speech language pathology is not a cut and dry science. It requires a lot of improvisation, forward thinking, and overall, I found the ways that I can relate it back to my experience as a musician. So why am I making this video? Why am I putting this out on a channel? Why am I talking about myself? The goal here is to create a place for the information that I wish I had both before, during, and hopefully after graduate school. I did a lot of research, like I said, transferring from music to speech language pathology, and other than official statements from our governing body, the American Speech Language and Hearing Association, also called ASHA, I didn't find a lot of information. I didn't find a lot of testimonials. I found some YouTube channels that kind of talked about it. I found articles or blog posts, but it was still kind of like, I think this is what I really want to do, but I don't know exactly what it is other than like official definitions. With this channel, me and my partner Rachel really hope to consolidate a lot of that information for determining if you even want to follow this career path, as well as summarizing and explaining a lot of the lectures and concepts that we experienced in grad school that we wish would have been explained better or in a different way, even if it's just kind of a refresher for some people. Easy access to that information that doesn't require $1 million worth of textbooks. The graduate and undergraduate coursework for speech language pathologists, communication sciences and disorders is hefty. You have a lot of information in a lot of classes, and you, for the most part, need to be well versed on it without having to think too hard about it. You're going to be having to, of course, do research, but you also need to know in the therapy room, this isn't working, let's adjust on the fly to this different topic that I know. So we want to provide examples, easy to understand, conversational topics to you as the viewer about things like the International Phonetic Alphabet, about dysphagia or aphasia and any other kind of neuroanatomy type things that we deal with in our field. We also, of course, want to talk about tips for the graduate student, organizational skills, scheduling skills, and further on, I'd love to discuss more difficult ideas like certain concepts like theory of mind, what that is, how to define it, as well as different kind of commentary style videos talking about different things that are happening in the field or different viewpoints and comparing those just so we can kind of have an open conversation. And of course, further on the line, I'd love to do interviews either with some viewers or some other SLPs, as well as professionals outside of the field. Overall, I would like to think of this channel as a source for information for both the prospective student, the current student, and the post-student working in the field. Coming back, oh, I need to brush up on my skills in that specific subject. We just want to make this an easy to access place for that information. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. A lot of videos are coming. We have a whole schedule set up, and we'll be able to communicate that to you as soon as possible. But I'd love for you to follow us and get started following the Lone Star species. And so, overall, I like to think of this channel. Overall, during whatever semester,